Last month marked 1 year since I've been driving this car, and I was gonna go and give it a car wash today, and it really needs one. And I wanted to go ahead and make a little video about the things that I like about the car, the things I don't like about the car, and then general thoughts about it. And so, you know, I love cars. I just wanted to make an excuse to make a car video, and we're gonna be spending some quality time with it today as I wash it and give it kind of a preparation for the fall weather season. And yeah, to get a good excuse to share some thoughts. I've been driving it for a year now, so I definitely have some of those, and it'll be fun to share that with you. My favorite part of the Civic, especially this sport hatch model, is definitely the exterior styling. I stepped away here just a little bit for get an appreciation from a distance for just the general look and presence of the car. My favorite part is right above the wheel well here, this little hump here, and again right here, especially with this with the hatch look, with the spoiler and the little wing behind it. You know, just a general presence. Okay, so moving into the interior. Sorry, I'm wearing these glasses. It's really sunny out. So this is the sport hatch, as I said. This is the model with the least. There's no options on this car. So we didn't get the blind spot monitoring camera thing. We didn't get the premium sound with the navigation. And I don't know what else we didn't get, but oh, obviously the cloth seats. We didn't get the leather seats. I guess this model doesn't have the sunroof, but we're gonna get to it. We're gonna go one by one, and I'll walk you through the parts that I like. So let's start with the door. Okay, so this is a small cabin, obviously, and so while that may seem like not a really great thing to some people, I really like it because everything is so close. Everything is within arm's reach away, and everything works. So one of the things I love about Honda is, you know, everything just has a really good feel to it. Of course, the materials aren't going to be like aluminum buttons and leather wrapped door panels and everything, but everything works. So with this car, you get the front windows are automatic, the back windows are not, but everything has a really good feel to it. It's really solid feel. The buttons themselves aren't high quality. They're plastic, but they feel really good, and everything just has a really good solid feel to it. That rattle you heard was from the coin that's in the door there. But yeah, so there's obviously some blank switches because we didn't get all the features. I'm guessing here's where you would turn on the blind spot and all that stuff. But yeah, so as we move over to the steering wheel is actually pretty nice. You know, it's got this really nice contrast stitching. If I can get it to, there we go. So it's got some nice contrast stitching. It looks like white or not, maybe like some gray stitching, but it's nice. And then of course, because this is the sport model, we have these paddles, and of course they're plastic, but they have a really solid feel to them. So when you put the car in sport, you get to play a little bit with the gears there. And so of course when you're on more spirited drives, that could be more fun. An underlooked or an overlooked part that I really like is, again, I'm gonna kind of touch on this throughout the interior, is the high touch points. So everything you touch, like I said, while it might not be wrapped in leather or something, it just has such a solid, really gives you some confidence about the build of the car. Obviously these cars have a pretty good reputation for just lasting, and you can also feel it. So when it comes to this turn signal stock, it feels so solid and just not cheap. I mean, you would think that with this type of car, maybe everything is kind of overlooked or not really done right, but everything, you get the little lane change there, and you can bring it down for the full turn. But the stock itself feels really kind of sturdy, doesn't feel flimsy, along with this paddle here. The buttons, as you can hear, they give a really nice sound, this kind of assuring sound, not this kind of, did you press it or not. Excuse me for the sound. I think the AC is going a little crazy because you can see it's pretty hot today. So okay, now that we're here, this is maybe one of my lesser favorite parts of the interior. Is
this just feels a little too video gamey, if that's a word. I know this is pretty standard. Our 06 Civic, you know, it's kind of similar in that the ref counter is kind of the same layout. The temperature and all that gas stuff is pretty standard. But for some reason, this feels pretty kind of cheap. But it is what it is. You can toggle through some stuff here, pretty standard Honda stuff. But while we're here, we can take a look at the MPG. So this trip hasn't been reset since 1,752 miles, and the mileage we've gotten, and that's including probably some of my more spirited driving if I was late somewhere or whatever. So it's 30 miles per gallon, which is pretty good. It's why a lot of people get these types of cars, is for the MPG, which is another aspect that I really love, is that you are able to, you know, have a daily that is a little more sporty. By no means is this what I would consider a normal sporty car. The cars that I kind of really like are like the M3s and the 911s. Obviously those are in a different class, but that comes back to my point, which is for the price of this car, for where it sits in a world of cars, it's got more to offer than you would think. And just again, with all these touch points that I talked about, how everything feels good, how everything looks good, you know, that's why I wanted to make this video, is just to kind of put out there that I really appreciate these types of cars. And so let's keep moving. We talked about the steering wheel here. Okay, so I was talking earlier how we didn't get the premium navigation sound system, whatever, and there was actually a good reason for that, aside from it, you know, obviously costing more. On the premium navigations for this model, the volume button was actually this haptic / touch feedback scroll wheel that you would like do this to lower and this to increase the volume. You know, when I first saw that, I thought that was weird, and then I was reading online that a lot of people didn't appreciate that, or it just took too much effort to quickly change the volume. So what I like about this is, because it doesn't have the touchscreen whole ordeal, just got a nice old-fashioned knob and quickly change, turn on, off, volume. It's really easy. Obviously the track changes are there. So here I'm resting my elbow, my arm can just easily touch the change the volume, change the AC, change the track, do all the things you do. So you're not having to reach. Everything is really close by, as I was talking about earlier, and everything else is pretty straightforward. Nothing too noteworthy. One area is this is nicely wrapped in what seems to be some kind of leather. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Over to the seat. Let's move this out of the way. Over to the seat. Cloth seats. But it has these nice looking, oh, you can't see that, sorry. Nice looking like carbon fiber looking fabric piece. And it kind of goes off and plays off of this trim here, which is supposed to be, you know, this carbon fiber, I guess, but it's I'm guessing it's some kind of plastic. But it looks good, I like it. It's kind of fits the car. It's not, you know, it's not, I don't think they were pretending like it's carbon fiber, but it looks like it. So I'm not complaining. So you got this theme here that goes on the seats, this cloth seats. Oops, you guys can see that. And then up here, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward. What I like about here, you got the thing, you got this, you got a lot of storage. You know, again, the basics are done really well, and that is what I like about this car. It's not trying to do anything that it's not good at doing. It's very straightforward. It looks pretty good. Again, we have to remember, this is a low $20,000 car, new. And so we have to think about, wow, that's, I mean, you compare it to the other cars in this segment that you would think, and this is kind of, I just have this real appreciation for the execution of the basics. And that's a theme that that's how I think about this car. That's why I have so much appreciation for it, is that they do the basics so well. And
you know, and there's some aspects with the design and the fit and finish and the feel of this car that I really like. Let me go back to the outside and kind of walk you around some of the parts, the exterior styling pieces that I really like. So this car has the, I guess they call it the Aero pack, Aero styling pack. I have to look at exactly what it is, but what that means is it comes with these parts here, so you can see this extra black trim. Let's see if you guys can see that right. Black trim pieces here, and then the bigger, I think these are 17. No, these got to be 18-inch. The alloy wheels, and then my favorite part is the center exhaust. See, that's the kind of the high point of this sport hatch is the center exhaust. On the SI, you would see it would be one piece here, but I really like these dual center exhausts, and then matched with the black accents on the sides. Some of my lesser favorite parts of the styling is how these supposed vents are just pure styling. They're fake, nothing there. Another thing while I'm up close here is everything here is plastic. Everything here is plastic. I haven't gone around with a magnet to see what parts are what, but this car is mostly plastic. But it is what it is. While we're up here, my favorite part of the front is how on this sport hatch it is chrome delete. You got everything that's normally chrome on a Civic is black accented here. And it looks real nice and aggressive. I love the styling of the hood. It just gives it this stance, this protruding jawline, how it just sticks out, super aggressive with the fog lights, and again with the Aero pack, these black accents here. I don't know how functional those are. Oh, there's that's some wax. That's some Carnauba wax that I didn't remove properly. Oops. Anyways, another thing that I don't like about the front here is how some of these vents are functional and some of these are nothing, like it's plastic. Some of these are you can put your finger through. That's kind of weird, but yeah, so stepping back here, hopefully you guys can still hear me. Styling the daytime running LED lights. One thing that I wish this car had, and I looked into doing this aftermarket, as in like getting the OEM part myself, is getting the updated headlight with the full LED cluster. Those look so nice, but these have grown on me, and I like them. And you still do get the LED running piece there. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let's go back inside. Hopefully I can hear me better. Boom. So overall thoughts on this car. You know, the Civic is this car that is, for example, in music, in rap, for example, they talk about, when a rapper talks about when they were, before they made it, when they were quote unquote poor or whatever, they were driving a Civic. You know, the common thing is like, went from a Civic to a Rolls Royce or whatever they say. And so these cars get a really bad rep because of their price point, because of their, it's just, they've developed a reputation for being the car you had before you made it. And that's funny to me. You know, it's cool. I get it. It makes a lot of sense. But that's the thing. These cars aren't that bad. I mean, they do everything really well. Honda has a reputation for executing on the basics, and it's almost to a fault. It's almost that they overcompensate for how well they do the basics and kind of forget to inspire or provide those cars, or like deliver the cars that have those kind of the exciting aspects of it. But that's not who they are. They make cars for a specific demographic, for a specific price point. What happens is a lot of these things get overlooked, and so as a daily car, a car that you don't have to worry about, super easy, obviously. So this car, we've had it for over a month, over a year, no problems at all, just taking it in for a service. So yeah, and it's just reliable, it's really great, it's fun to drive, and it is what it is. For the price, it is fantastic. And so even though this car gets a bad rap, I think I just wanted to create this content a little bit just to share some of the things that I really appreciate about it. Again, they do the basics really well. And the exterior with this specific sport hatch model with the 180 horsepower and the styling pieces with the spoiler at the top that I showed earlier, with the certain aggressive front and the back, even though with the fake pieces, you know, it is what it is. At least they're trying, I guess. At least they recognize that, you know, obviously they know these pieces are just for styling. But you get what you pay for, and I think what you're paying for here is actually more than what you would think. And that's why I like this car so much, and just like the Honda Civic line historically even. And I think I'll always have a soft spot for them. Obviously, I drove a 2006 coupe for many years, and so I'm obviously a fan of the brand. But I wanted to go through and show you guys the parts that I really like. So let's talk about the driving profile of the Sport Hatch Civic. It's what you would expect. I think for me, I wasn't blown away and I wasn't severely let down. The car does have a very solid feel to it. It doesn't feel loose. It doesn't feel kind of weak in that way. Everything has a nice solid feel to it. There's no rattling going on. There are no, so that mostly speaks to the overall fit and finish of the car. But of course, with a newer car, that's to be expected. Hopefully, if there are rattles and tweaks and everything feels a little loose, then sign of a bad car. But luckily, so far my experience has been very good with it. Everything has a really solid feel to it. But onto the dynamics of it, one thing I really like is the steering. The steering has a really nice, it's lighter at low speeds, at parking lot speeds. It's lighter for easy, you know, 3-point turns and all that stuff. And at higher speeds, it stiffens up a little bit, and it's not as loose and free as you would want it to be. So it gives you a nice little variability in that regard. But it's nothing great. There's not a lot of feedback that you get through the steering. The car is front-wheel drive, so you do tend to get some torque steering. Ooh, there's a nice M2. So from that, you know, it's kind of typical front-wheel drive driving dynamics. What else? The exhaust note is it really likes to be in that 3, 4, 5 thousand RPM range to really get anything out of it. But then again, with a car like this that's stock, obviously it's nothing too great. And usually when you're up to that level of RPM, you're mostly hearing intake noise and other road noise and everything, so it's not too rewarding from that regard. So it's kind of disappointing. But you gotta always remember that's not what this car is about. Even though it is the sport hatch or hatchback sport, whatever they call it, and they got the special dual center exhaust and the special styling, at the end of the day, it's a 180 horsepower V4 Honda. So it is what it is. But even with that, it is because your expectations, or at least my expectations, were so low, I was pleasantly surprised. And so I do enjoy you know, throwing it in sport and you know, keeping the revs high and just and going about my business. So from that regard, it's not too bad. Onto more about the interior. When I first got the car, when I would hook up my phone to it, I would be able to get some like metadata onto the screen, like what song was playing and like information about that. But ever since the iOS updated, it seems like ever since I updated iOS to
I think it was iOS 11 at the time. Ever since that happened, it lost kind of that communication with the car. So maybe that's a dealer thing that I can just take it in and they just update something, but I just haven't looked into it or anything like that. So that's not as great. Obviously there is a USB port that you just hook it in and you do that. The sound system is pretty terrible. Again, this doesn't have the premium sound, so sound quality is really bad. I think there's maybe like 4 speakers in this car. Nothing great at all. So that's a letdown, but that's because I didn't choose the premium sound system, which I think is a Bose in this car. I'm probably totally wrong. But yeah, so the seat is really comfortable. I've gone on 3-4 hour drives with this car. Don't have anything to complain about. That's specific to the car. Seat's nice, comfortable. The driving position is really nice. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is with the Sport package, the Sport hatch, whatever, you get the aluminum pedals, and so that's an area that that's an aspect that I really like. It's a really nice touch, and it kind of goes with the theme of the Sport and the spoiler and the accents and the blacked out everything and all that stuff. So hey, I like that. That was really cool. I'll get some B-roll of that. That's probably playing now. What else? So yeah, sound system is pretty bad. The iOS doesn't really connect right anymore. There's Bluetooth. It's kind of hard, you know, sometimes connects, sometimes it doesn't. I'm realizing now that I'm describing it, those are the basics, and I was talking earlier about how this car does the basics so well. So I'm realizing now that those are basics. Why doesn't the car do those well? But I guess that is what it is. What else? So let's see if we get some exhaust. Let's see if some of the exhaust will come through here. So let me lower my speed a little bit. Get it up there. Nothing special. So let's recap what I've talked about so far. Exterior. Exterior, I think, is one of the stronger suits of the car, especially the color. The color, I think it's called polished metal. I think it's called polished gray, polished metal. It's a metallic. It's really nice, especially with the black accents that are on the car and the black wheels. I think really well done. I think it looks really nice. The styling, the bigger rims with the center exhaust, I just think that is so awesome, and just looks the part. I think it looks fantastic. Moving to the interior, really basic, really straightforward. I do like this fake carbon fiber and then the matching carbon fiber seat things, those seat inserts. That's fine for me. I think if this car was any more expensive or at a different price level, I'd be pretty disappointed if that's what they came up with, or if that's what I got. What else? Driving it, it's what you would expect with a Honda Civic. Not much feedback. You do get the paddles in the Sport model, so that you get to have a little bit of play there. But as far as a sporty experience where you're really connected to the car, not so much there, especially with it being a front-wheel drive car. You do tend to get some of the torque steer. The sound the exhaust note is not very good, even though the exhaust is visible in this car. At least the exhaust tips are visible in this car. So theoretically, you would think that they would have a better, a more pronounced, what do you call it? Exhaust note. What else? This flappy pedal gearbox, even though this is just, I think, a torque, I can't remember what the word for it is, but it's not a real manual flappy pedal gearbox. It's just kind of, you're suggesting to the car what it should do. So those are my thoughts. This is the first car overview, car review, thoughts on cars video that I've ever done. This is kind of the first take. I didn't really have anything planned, and I didn't think I needed to because this is my car, and I just kind of already knew the details I wanted to talk about and the general theme of, you know, how this car does the basics pretty well, and then the aspects that I didn't like about it. But yeah, so I hope this was fun for me. You know, cars are a passion of mine. I've often included them in B-roll in my other videos where I'm talking about like business and stuff. That's just kind of my way to sprinkle in some of my appreciation for cars. But this is the first dedicated car video, and I might do more of them. So yeah, I'm home now. Really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see how this video turns out. And of course, it's not a video of mine unless I ramble and do all this. And of course, now it's all dark, so who knows how this part will turn out. But it is what it is. I had fun doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And that's it for now. Thank you. Bye-bye.